This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Certainly, the prominent feature of Parshas Vayeira is the Akeida, and no matter how many times we learn the Akeida, we see Chidushim Noiraim every year, and especially this year, I'm excited to share with you some very innovative and novel thoughts about the Akeida that I believe are true, and I did not find anyone who says it, but you'll tell me what you think. The Akeida begins, Vayhi achar advarim ho'ela, it was after these words, after these matters, V'ho'el Elohim nisas Abraham, and God tested Abraham. And the Rishonim ask, what do you mean Hashem tested Abraham? It would seem like it was a greater test for Yitzchak. I mean, Abraham got to go home and eat lunch afterwards. Yitzchak, that was the end of him. So why is it called Hashem tested Abraham? Why wasn't it a test for Yitzchak? So we have over here from the Perush of the Balei Tosfos. He brings down from Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, Hiksha Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, Nisas Abraham, V'es Yitzchak hayolay lamar. It should say both of them. Ki gam Yitzchak nisnasa. Yitzchak was also tested. I mean, if he was 8 days old, it wasn't a test. An 8-year-old kid has a milah, and Yitzchak would have been geschachten. But he could have been moiche, he could have stopped. The fact that he went along with it, why was that not considered a test for Yitzchak? That is question number one. Question number two.
That's what it says.
It says 36. It needed to give you something to ask. But really 37. Okay, what? You can call it whatever you want. The question is, the pasuk says, Nisas Abraham. So why is it a test of Abraham? Why is it not a test of Yitzchak? Okay, then the pasuk says, Kach na, please take, es bincha, your son, es yechidcha, your only son, asher ahavta, that you love, es Yitzchak. Apparently, there's a lot of superfluity in this pasuk. There's a lot of extra words here. Just say, Kach na es Yitzchak. So Rashi says, Hashem said, take your son. Avram said, I have two sons. Take your only son. He said, they're both only sons to their mother. The one you love, I love both. Take Yitzchak. Why didn't Hashem say immediately take Yitzchak? Hashem didn't want to startle Abraham. Hashem wanted, because if he would have startled him, people would have thought, you know why he did it? He became deranged from the shock of the command, and Hashem wants everybody. But still, to me, it bothers me. Just say, Kachnas Yitzchak. The way Hashem chose to tell him, the Torah is not every single word that transpired. It's only what we need to know. So just say, Kachnas Yitzchak. It seems that even more, part of the Nisayon, and part of what Hashem was saying, take your son, your only son, that you love, take Yitzchak, and I'm going to explain further. Let's continue.
Is there a question on the word na?
Is there? I'm
Please,
sure there are questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rashi says why. Please, Hashem really wanted Abraham to pass this test. Because Hashem, Rashi says, Hashem was saying, Abraham, if you don't pass this test, people are going to say the early ones were easy, but until you do this one, you're not really establishing yourself. Fine. Next pasuk. Abraham wakes up in the morning, and he saddles his donkey, and he takes Eshnei Na'arav Itai, his two young men. Rashi says, who are there? Who are they? Who are his two lads? Yishmael and Eliezer. But there's a major problem here. You learn this every year. Yishmael and Eliezer, Yishmael and Eliezer, Yishmael and Eliezer. What in the world is Yishmael doing there? Yishmael? Right before Yishmael was making trouble, he was mitzachek, avodah zara, gila raj shvichas damim, and Sarah said, Garesh es beno amazos, kick him out of the house. And the psukim say he went to Midbar Paran. He went to Midbar Paran. So how did he get here to Hara Maria? He was just kicked out. He just went off, right? The kid ran away from home. He went off to the West Indies. He's serving the Buddha somewhere, right? And how did he make it back to Hara Maria? No, this is Mukta. This we know is Mukta, huh?
Yigamal Hana was when? We said it was his bar mitzvah.
Either his bar mitzvah or two.
After his bar mitzvah, that was the other story.
No, this story is the Akeida.
The other story, the one you say happened right away, it didn't happen right away. It happened when he was 13. When he was 13, that's when she saw him mitzvah.
Okay, so and he's off in Midbar Paran.
Okay,
and we don't. But then let the Torah say, after 10 years, Avram made a phone call and he said, "You know what? You're my son. It would be nice if you came home for a Shabbos, for a Yom Tiv, for a piece of cake, for honey and for tea." No, you don't find any makeup between Yishmael cholent, turkey, whatever it is. That's very nice. Burial of Abraham is not this week's Parsha. I have one simple question. He kicked him out of the house, and we don't find that he came back. So why is he here? How did he come back over here? So you say, this is a question of the Bali Tosus as well. Look at number 5. Vayeira Sarah es ben Hagar mitzvahs asher yolda Avram mitzachek. Patron of Avram gorish amazois doesn't kick him out of the house. And what did he do? Vayeira Paran. He went to Saudi Arabia. Vatikach lo ima isha me'eretz Mitzrayim. And he married an Egyptian girl. Do you find that he came back for Sheva Brachas to Harabayas? You don't find that. You find that he didn't like the fact that some Jews were on the Harabayas, so he went, no. Right now, as far as we know, he's on Har Paran. Well, how do you make it back for the Akeida? This is the question of the Bali Tosus. Shneina Arav. Hayu Eliezer Yishmael. V'Yishmael mehechan balasham. V'aloi hayov midbar Paran.
How do you get the parent to bring?
What?
No,
That's Tosus' kasha.
Not a good question. Very good
That's your opinion. Okay. Ella.
What do you mean? He said he didn't know which one of his sons he was going to take, but he was told which ones to take. That's your schok, so why do you take it?
What?
Okay.
One question. Simple question. The Torah says Yishmael went to Har Paran. What? It doesn't say he came back, right? So the question is, when did he come back? Okay. So the Tosha says he came home to visit Shabbat L'Eretz Aviv, and that night that he came home to visit, Hashem said, Kachna as bincha as yichidcha. In other words, Tosha is saying that the Akeida happened on visiting day. Right? If you want to know, somebody say, what day was the Akeida? It was a Rosh Hashanah, was it Yom Kippur? It was visiting day. It was middle of August. Right? That's what Tosha learns. It happened on the day that Yishmael happened to come home. He hadn't been home in, I don't know what. If the latest was Yitzchak was bar mitzvah. So then Yishmael was 26 years old. So then this is the one night that he came home in 37 years. He happened to visit one time in 37 years, and Pinklach on the night that he came back for visiting day was the Akeida. And that is why Avram figures to himself, Yishmael happened to come back last night. And this morning Hashem comes to Avram and he says, take your son. So Avram says, Mistama, it's Yishmael. Yitzchak's been here for the last 37 years. For the last 27 years, right? And all of a sudden last night Yishmael came. So Mistama, who does Hashem mean? He probably means Yishmael. So one night he's here. And there was a fight. Yishmael said, I can't wait. Tata is going to kill Yitzchak and I'm going to be the Yerush.
How old was Yishmael? Over 40. How old was Yishmael?
But Yitzchak was 37. Well, how old was Yishmael? 50. Amarle, Eliezer said, no, you're already chased out of the house. You're not going to be the Yerush. So listen to the Hashgacha Pratis over here, and I don't think it's a small thing. Yishmael's been out of the house at least 24 years, yeah? He only came to visit one night, as far as we know. And Davka on that day was the Akeida. It seems to me that Hashem wanted Yishmael to be at the Akeida and not to be taken.
The Arabs can claim today.
Why? Why?
Yeah, you could make that argument.
What's that? Why?
Like the Arabs.
The Arabs make the claim.
Then Abraham says, Vayeira Abraham el Na'arav, Shvu lachem payim achamar. He tells Eliezer, stay with the donkey. He tells Yishmael, stay with the donkey. Eliezer's a donkey. Eliezer's like a donkey. He's an Eved. An Eved is like a donkey. So the Gemara darshans in Kedushin Samaches, Am hadoim el chamor, that a Ben Yisrael that comes from a Shivcha is not meyuchas after the father. In other words, the Gentiles are considered, in terms of lineage, as
donkeys.
Thank you.
Well, even
So the question is,
even the Torah says it. Yolda, the Hagar,
yeah,
when he was born.
okay,
It doesn't say Yolad Avraham. It makes a specific point about that.
okay. Well, because Abraham did not give birth. Excuse me, there are no phone calls. Don't share. Abraham did not give birth. The mother gives birth. You want to say it's attributed?
No. And then by Yitzchak it says Yolda Avraham.
But it says V'hinei ben l'Sara. At first it says when Yitzchak is born V'hinei ben l'Sara. And then later it says Avraham holiest Yitzchak. So there's a contradiction. First time it says Ben. Okay, usually it says the mother gives birth. In any event, here's my issue. And this is a question of the Beis Halevi. We discussed this on Monday. That very nice goyim are like a chamar, but why now does the Torah choose to teach me this limud, that goyim, in terms of lineage, are not considered legitimate? Why, dafka, at this juncture, does the Torah teach me this idea, this limud, that am hadom el chamar? Torah could have told me anywhere that if the mother is not Jewish, then the father's lineage has no meaning. Why? Dafka in the episode of the Akeida is the Torah emphasizing this limud of am hadom el chamar.
The Shvatim who are born of the Shvachos,
Yeah.
are they considered different in terms of lineage than the others?
No. Sisters.
They were all like Gerim. All before Matan Torah, there were no. In terms of what? Are they lesser stature?
Lineage, yeah, they're lesser stature. I don't think so.
There were no Jews in general, what was Judaism before the Torah was given? There was no Torah. Right. So according to the Maral, it's like they all converted. But were they less? Are they less than Leah and Rachel and Leah? Maybe in some way.
This is also before Matan Torah.
This is also before Matan Torah.
Yeah, so why does this question come up here now?
Again, we're learning it out from here. But just my question is, why at this juncture is the Torah teaching me this limud? Okay. Yeah.
Can you say what is about to have a get today with my table shop?
That's up to you. Okay. Let's continue. After the Akeida, the Malach comes down from heaven and gives a bracha. Okay? The Malach said, Kivarech avarechacha, I'll bless you. V'harba arba azaracha kuchach v'yashmayim, I'll increase your children like the stars. V'chachor l'asher al sfas hayam, and like the sand. V'yirash zaracha, and your children will inherit Eis Shar Oyevav, the gate of your enemies. And we know that in the Torah there are two words for enemies, they're Oyevim and they're Sainim. And we also know that they're very specific terms. Oyevim refer to Yishmael, Sainim refer to Esav. Not all the Rishonim learn that way, some learn the opposite. But Rabbi Yehuda in Parshas Nitzavim on the pasuk in number 10, V'nasan Hashem lekecha, Eis kol ha'olos ha'ela, Hashem will put these curses, Al Oyevecha, on your Oyevim, the Al Sainecha, and on your Sainim, Asher Redafucha. Says Rabbi Yehuda, Oyevecha Yishmael, Sainecha Esav. Like Micha says about the Asir Lavai, Tarum Yadcha Al Tzarecha, V'chol Oyevecha Yikaresu. These are the two umais that we are subjugated by. Why is Yishmael called Oyevim and Sainecha Esav? An Oyev is worse than a Saineh. Because a Saineh, even if he harms you, but there is an element of compassion. But in Oyev, he has eternal hatred. There is no mercy at all. And then he says, Oyev is a lashon, Oy va'avoy. Okay, so according to Rabbi Meir, Yishmael.
One was a full brother, one was a half brother.
Okay, Yishmael is an Oyev, and Esav is a Saineh. Okay, we've spoken about this. Rashi says, Halacha biyadua Esav, Saineh liYaakov. Esav is a Saineh, Yishmael is an Oyev. So to me, then, it sounds like that at the end of the Akeida, the bracha given to Abraham and his descendants is they would overpower, not a word is mentioned about Esav. The focus is of Yishmael. So to me,
It didn't exist yet.
To me, this is very indicative of the fact that the Akeida is central to the triumph over Yishmael. First of all, you see that in the 24 years, the only night that Hashem commanded Abraham to do the Akeida is the one night that Yishmael was home. Number two, Abraham was saying, you know what Yishmael is? Yishmael is a chamor. He never called him a chamor before, he never called him a chamor after. Dafka by the Akeida. And at the end of the Akeida, the blessing of the Malach is, you will triumph over your Oivim. Listen carefully, this is a Rashi that is not focused on enough. Achar hadvar ma'ela. The Akeida begins after these matters. What matters? What's after these matters? Somebody told me they took a faher in yeshiva when they were in 8th grade. They were coming in Chavetz Chaim. You see, Chavetz Chaim, you have to understand the Shakavatariya. So they started with the Gemara, V'hashta da'amrit, and now that we said, and the Rebbe said, and now that we said what?
The middle.
I don't know. the kid didn't prepare what it said before. He just started the Hashta da'amrit. So what do you mean, Achar hadvarma, after these words? What are these words? So Rashi brings down the first shot. We're going to look at V'yesh Oimrim, second to last line. V'yesh Oimrim, Achar dvarav shel Yishmael. After the words of Yishmael. What did Yishmael say? Yishmael had bris milah. At what age? 13. Shahayim Mispire al Yitzchak. He gloried over Yitzchak. Ben Yud Gimel Shana. When he was 13 years old, V'loi Micha, Yishmael said, you Yitzchak, you're nothing, you're a wimp. You had bris milah at 8 days old. I'm a man. I serve God with Mesiras Nefesh. I had bris milah at 13. Amar lo Yitzchak. So Yitzchak says, Be'ever echad atam yareini, are you frightening me with one limb? Ilu amar li hakadosh baruch hu. If Hashem would have told me, Zavach atzmecha lefanai, shecht yourself before me, loy hayisi me'akev. I would never stop it. I have greater Mesiras Nefesh than you, Yishmael. Yishmael, you would only sacrifice one limb, I would sacrifice my whole body. So I want to say like this. The eternal struggle between Yitzchak and Yishmael is who is a more dedicated servant of Hashem. Yishmael is always mispire through his bris milah, and as we're going to see, the Zohar HaKadosh says, the only zechus that Yishmael has to claim Eretz Yisrael is zechus bris milah. How do we triumph over that claim? The Akeida. The Akeida, where we say not only are we willing to sacrifice that Eva, we're willing to sacrifice our whole body.
But they're not doing you right.
So I want to say like this. Vayehi acharei advar ma'ila vo Elokim nisa es Abraham. It's not a test for Yitzchak. Not a test for Yitzchak. Yitzchak just asked for it. He just said that if Hashem would tell me to do this, I would do it. So good. Hashem says he'll do it. It's a test. He just said he's going to do it. There's no test. He was just makabel upon himself. He was a kabbalah of mitzvah. It's a neder. It's not a test. He just said he would do it. If Yitzchak said, it's not like us. We say, I'll do it. Yitzchak says he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Abraham never said he's going to do it. So V'lekim, he says Abraham. It's a test for Abraham. It's not a test for Yitzchak. Yitzchak was just makabel. The test for Abraham was the following. Right before this episode, Sarah said, kick the kid out of the house. He's mitzachik. I want him out. And Hashem told Abraham, Kasha Tarmar Elecha Sarah Shema B'Kaila. So what was the nevuah that Abraham had? The nevuah was, listen to her. So Abraham's thinking to himself, I love Yishmael. I like Yishmael. He's a great kid. Shalom Bayis, I got to kick him out. Hashem says, no Shalom Bayis now. I don't want you to think in your mind that the reason you kicked him out is for Shalom Bayis. You need to show me that you don't value this kid. That you're only Yoresh as Yitzchak. It's not enough that you're listening to your wife. There are a lot of things people do because they listen to their wife, but they don't really want to do it. Hashem said, you demonstrate to me that you don't value Yishmael. So Hashem, listen carefully. Hashem tells him, Kach no es bincha. So Avram says, I have 2 sons. Hashem said, no, you don't have 2 sons. Es yichidcha, my only son. I have 2 only sons. Hashem said, no, you don't. Asher ahavta, I love both of them. Hashem said, you don't love both of them. You're Yitzchak. When I say Yitzchak, I'm defining that your bincha, that your yechidcha, that your ahavta is Yitzchak and not Yishmael. That's why I had to make sure Yishmael was here. If Yishmael wasn't there, the only way to select one over the other is if they're both around. If one of them is away, is out of town yeshiva, so the fact that you were makar of Yitzchak doesn't show his superiority over Yishmael. No, I'm going to wait until Yishmael comes back the one day in 24 years that he comes back. And I'm going to tell you, I don't want him. I don't want him. You know what you're going to do? You're going to take him to the mountain and you're going to tell him, don't come, you're a chamar. In other words, Hashem had Hashgacha Pratis was, what's the Akeida? The Akeida is the selection of Yitzchak over Yishmael. We're going to bring Yishmael to the mountain and we're going to say, you don't come to Harabayas. You're out. When it comes to Harabayas, you're a donkey. You don't even understand what Harabayas is. My son is Yitzchak. my son that I love is Yitzchak. My only son is Yitzchak. You're a chamar. By the way, look at number 13. Look at number 13. The Medrash says, Shavula, the Tosfos asks, he brings down a Medrash. When they got to the mountain, Kishara Abraham es hamakoy meirachoik, when they saw the mountain from far, va'anan kasher alav, with a cloud on top of it, Amar li Yitzchak, he said to Yitzchak, Benoi, ma taroya, what do you see? So Yitzchak said, Amar li har noya va'anan kasher alav, I see the Shechina. He turns to his kids, Chazar etzel na'arav, Amar lahem ma taroya, what do you see? Amar li inon aroyim shum davar, we don't see anything. Amar lahem atem v'hachamar shavim, the donkey doesn't see anything either. You and the donkey are equal. She'enechem roim kumayo. Im kain shavu lachem pai im hachamar. So to me, this is not just some kind of medrash that the medrash happens to say Yishmael saw, Yitzchak saw and Yishmael didn't see. This is the fight over the claim of Eretz Yisrael in the Har HaBayis, where Hashem wants Yitzchak to go up to the Har HaBayis and Yishmael to be rejected from the Har HaBayis, to the point, this is what Chazal are telling us, where Abraham is demonstrating, Yishmael, not only can't you go here, do you even appreciate what Har HaBayis is? Most would know. To me, I don't even see anything. So Abraham says, you stay down here. You're not connected to this place. You have no connection to Har HaMoriah. This is the superiority of Yitzchak over Yishmael, and the slaying stakes of this Makkah. Yishmael doesn't even understand, doesn't even see, doesn't even recognize what this place is. Now listen to this. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky asks that, according to Rashi, that the Akeida followed immediately after the conversation between Yishmael and Yitzchak, where Yishmael said, I'm greater than you, I had bris milah at 13, and Yitzchak said, if Hashem would command me to sacrifice my whole body, I would do it. But if you look in the Chumash, there's a whole Parsha in between. After the bris milah of Yishmael, there's a whole Parsha of Avimelech making a peace treaty with Avimelech, where Abraham makes a deal with Avimelech, you could live peacefully in Eretz Yisrael. And the Rashbam actually learns that Akeida immediately follows the episode of the deal with Avimelech. But according to Rashi, that it follows the conversation of Yishmael and Yitzchak, then why is there a whole Parsha of in between? So look in number 15, the Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky in the Emes Yaakov, he quotes Rashi, and on the 6th line it says, L'chor yesh l'tmaya, but the pasuk is mafsik between these inyanim, between the Akeida, and between the conversation of Yishmael and Yitzchak with the Ma'aseh of Avimelech. And it's Gam Bizman Hu Richa Gadol. It's a long, in terms of years, it's very distant. Many years have passed. Isn't it Mashma Achar Adom Ha'ela? So the Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says, we do find similarly in Parshas Vayeshev by the Mechira of Yosef, says the Midyanim sold it down to Mitzrayim, and then it interrupts the Parsha with the story of Yehuda and Tamar, Vayehi bo'es hahi, and then it says, V'Yosef hurad Mitzrayim. So it completely diverts its attention. And the reason over there is because since the story of Yehuda and Tamar happened at that time, so it brought it it interrupted at that juncture. So too here, says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, it talks about the birth of Yitzchak, it talks about their conversation with Ishmael. At that time, bo'es hahi, they had a bris with Avimelech, and then Achar Dvar Ma'ila, meaning back to our regularly broadcasted story. But the question is, but still, what's the flow? What's the connection between the Akeida, conversation of Yitzchak and Ishmael, and the Kuisas bris with Avimelech? So says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, wow.
Everything you said, what's the story that HaKadosh Baruch Hu even want Yishmael to participate?
No, he didn't want him to participate.
So why did he send him there?
No, because if somebody is selected, they have to be selected over somebody else. If that person is not there, they haven't been selected, there's no choice. It's not show choice. I once went to, right, it's like if you're trying out for a job, sometimes the people, they want a choice. You can't pick him. Give us a choice, and then we'll pick him. If you won over somebody else, okay, it was a selection. But the fact that the person was there and rejected, that demonstrates superiority. As opposed to if Yishmael's not around, so maybe they'll make the claim. If I was there, I would have been selected.
So in number 7, where you cite the pasuk,
yeah.
So he says, 2 is Narav, which would be Yishmael, and there's another called Narav.
Yeah.
Why is he does he say Vanidi Yitzchak? Why is he equating as the Nar the same as Narav? Because when...
equating, and that's what he's referred to. It doesn't...
Before he says, when he talks, he went into this 2 Narav,
okay.
And then says Yitzchak. It's almost equating him with him.
I don't know. Okay. So Rabbi Yaakov says, let's go. Rabbi Yaakov says... What?
Why does the Torah mention that Shmuel was Nora? The way it gives space to Arabs to claim today that Shmuel was mentioned. I want to know about Shmuel.
Torah doesn't mention.
Why does it mention Shmuel? Okay. Why does it mention Rashi? Okay, but why doesn't it
Well, it says Kachna es bincha es yichidcha asher hafta es Yitzchak. Why doesn't the Torah say Yishmael? We're not even giving him the credit of his name. All we're giving, he's a nar. He's a nar dubistu, and he's a chamar. Those are his 2 qualities. Right? Let's hear. It says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. The Malach tells Ishmael, "You're going to be a goy gadol, yeah, a big nation." The Zohar says that in the zechus of bris milah, Yishmael is zoicha to Eretz Yisrael until Mashiach comes. However, so you'll think, well, taka groisa zechus that Yishmael has. He has bris milah. No. The Torah wants you to know. Don't worry about Yishmael. He doesn't have a real claim to Eretz Yisrael. Why is that? But I thought he has bris milah. Bris milah is a very shvacha zechus. It's a shvacha zechus? Yeah. Because you know who else lives in Eretz Yisrael? Avram makes a bris with Avimelech. Avimelech is from what nation? Plishtim. You know what Plishtim are called in Tanakh? Every time it says the word Plishti, you know what it calls them? Arelim. So what are they doing in Eretz Yisrael? The answer is bris milah doesn't really get you too far. Vayeira, the nation which is the epitome of Arelim, they're also in Eretz Yisrael. So lest you think, Yishmael is a groisa knacker, he has bris milah, who knows when he's going to be get out of the land already? No, don't be so afraid of him. His zechus is very nebulous. It's very flimsy. It doesn't stand on strong ground. V'haraya, Avimelech is also there. He's the biggest Arel in the world. He's the epitome, he's the definition of Arelos. He says, "V'husker b'shem hazer sheb'zchus hamilah zochi Yishmael shetir Eretz Yisrael tanos yodei ad b'yasagol lefikach." Hichnes hakos of Krisas Ris Avram Abimelech Melech Plishtim Mibnei she'ein lecha beino umais uma shetigra Hashem Arelos k'mayim Plishtim. The Japanese, the Italian, the Rud, they're not called Arelim. Only the Philistines are called Arelim. Shekin matzinu in Tanakh. Look in Shoftim. Ha'ein bevanois lekachas isham mibnois Plishtim Harelim, or v'neflesi biyad Arelim, v'nafal biyad Arelim, or v'navar al matzav Arelim, pen yavai Arelim. So the Plishtim are the semel of Arelos. And nevertheless, they're also in Eretz Yisrael. So don't worry, don't be so frightened by the Milah. In other words, Yishmael comes to Yitzchak, you know who I am? I'm a guy who had Milah at 13 years old. So the first thing the Torah says is, don't be afraid of Yishmael's bluff with the Milah. Milah is not a big deal. The Haraya, these Arelim, they're also in Eretz Yisrael. So he quotes over here, number 41, the Zohar HaKadosh says, Ubay ure'ei arba mea shanim, 400 years. Amad hasarahu al shel b'nei Yishmael, the angel of Yishmael went, ubikesh l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'amar lei, mi shenimal hayir shel chelik b'shmecha, the son who have a milah b'chelik in your name, ma'asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hirchik l'bnei Yishmael, middavkos al yoina. Hashem said, look, Yishmael and me, we have nothing to do with each other. He says they could have Eretz Yisrael shalmata because of milah, but that Yishmael will rule over Eretz Yisrael when Eretz Yisrael is empty of everything. And they're going to stop the Jewish people from settling there. And they're going to make great wars in the world, at which time Hashem will come up against them, and Bayomahu yiyeh Hashem echad u'shmei echad. So I just want to point out, and I think this is, I did not see this anywhere, I think it's very nice. Number one, why is V'alekim Nisas Abraham? Because you can't call it a test for Yitzchak. Yitzchak was makabel upon himself. He said he would do it. All of a sudden Hashem says, do it! Now Yitzchak says, I should do it. It's a big challenge. It's a big test. Who said I should do it? Yitzchak wasn't bluffing. He said he was going to do it. The Nisayon wasn't for him. Number two, I think you could read the words, Kachna es bincha, es yichidcha, asher havta. The Rebbeinu Shalom wanted to emphasize to Abraham that don't give me this business you have 2 banim. Don't you tell me you have 2 yichidim. Don't you tell me asher havta. No. When I say Yitzchak, he's your ben and no other. He's your yachid and no other. He's asher and no other. And Abraham passed this nisayon because the first thing he does is he says, you know, Yishmael, you're a chamar. You don't understand Har Bayis. You don't see the kedusha. Then you have no connection to it. Why did Hashem make it that Yishmael had to be there? Like we said, the whole purpose of the Akeida is the triumph of Yitzchak over Yishmael. So the Hashgacha had it that it was visiting day. And that is why it comes out very beautiful. The bracha that Abraham is given at the Akeida is V'yirash zaracha eis shar oivav. If you want to know what's the triumph over Yishmael, it's Akedas Yitzchak. We don't say anything about Esav. We don't say anything about Esav over here. It's eis shar oivav. Okay, we're not done. But by the way, it comes out. I did some research yesterday. It's pretty well known that the Yishmaelim have a different version of the story.
Of course, Ishmael.
Not all of them. It's machlokas between the tipshim, but they have a big problem here because why is it that the one story in Tanakh that they distort is this story? Because this is the Akeida is the biggest thorn in their side. After all, this is the point of contention. Yishmael says, I'm greater than, I'm more of a Meiser Nefesh. I had Milah at 13 years old. And Yitzchak said, no. If Hashem would tell me to sacrifice... So this is the entire shlug up to Yishmael. That's why it's so important for them to distort the story. That's why they have to distort the facts. Okay, now let's move to another aspect of the eternal struggle between Yishmael and Esav. And this is last week's Parsha. Okay, and we're going to come back to this. So Sarah cannot conceive, and he tells Abraham the idea: live with Hagar. I'll have a child from her. Vatahar, Vayeira ki harasa. When Hagar sees that she conceived, Vatekal gevirta be'enaha. She looked down on Sarah. She mistreated Sarah. Rashi brings down, what did she say about Sarah? To me, this is a very powerful Rashi, very striking Rashi. Rashi says in number 17, she says, this Sarah, her inside is not like her outside. She shows herself like a tzaddikas, but deep down she's not a tzaddikas. She was married to this guy for so many years, she never conceived. And me, one night I'm married to him, and I was Nesaber Mibia Rishayna. By the way, is that not the eternal kitrug of Ishmael? They always say, the Jews, they think they're the righteous ones, but they're not as good as they think they are. I mean, it's myself as Siman Labanim. That was Hagar's taina. Look at number 18. Vayomer Avram el Sarai. Avram said to Sarai, Hine shivchasech v'yadech. Do with her whatever you want. Asila hatabenech. So what does Sarah do? Vate'aneo Sarai. Sarai overworks her. She causes her pain. She mocks her. Sarah distresses, insults Hagar. So Hagar runs away, and the Malach tells Hagar, you're going to have a child. Hashem heard your voice. Behu yihiyeh pera adam. He's going to be a para adam. In other words, you have a problem. Avram called him a chamar. The Malach already called him a chamar. He's a para adam. Says Ramban, why do we have to suffer for thousands of years from this chamar? Says Ramban, chata imenu be'inoizeh. I don't know what the Ramban's makar is, what his source is, but the Ramban feels that Sarah acted inappropriately. She caused Hagar distress. She caused her anguish. Because Sarah caused pain to Hagar, for thousands of years we suffer from Hagar's son, the Para Adam. V'gam Avraham b'hini chalasas, and Avraham didn't say anything. Avraham should have said, why are you mistreating her? She's a human being.
It was your idea in the first place that I should be with her, so now why?
Why are you mistreating? Avraham should have said, why are you mistreating her? Avraham should have followed the lead of the liberals. So you can't cause them pain, you can't cause them anguish. V'shama Hashem al Anya, Hashem heard her cry. V'nasan la ben shehei pere adam lanois zera Avram v'sar b'chomina ina. You know why we have distress? You know why Chas Hashem, we read in the news terrible stories? Because Sarah caused Hagar pain. That's the opinion of the Ramban. But many Rishonim disagree with the Ramban. And many Rishonim say, what do you want from the poor girl? She caused Hagar pain. Who started? Right? The pasuk says, "Vateikal be'einah." She wrote in the newspapers the Holocaust denial. She denied us. She denied Sarah's righteousness. And the halach. So you say, but still, Sarah can't take back nekama. No, the Smag says that if someone causes you insult and pain, you're allowed to get back at them. It's only if someone causes you monetary damage, you can't take revenge. But if someone causes you insult, you're allowed to insult them back. There's no nekama. The Riva, one of the Bali Tosa says, "Vata'aneha sarai vativrach mipaneha." Perish Rashi, Haisa mishabedes ba b'koshi. She worked her hard. And v'harei elakim nasan tam b'davar. Oh, thank you. Rabbi Yakim nasan tam b'davar hich tzadekes kasher oisekach. Rabbi Yakim says, how could this righteous woman do this? Which is Ramban's kasha. And the Riva answers, he quotes Rabbi Yakim, Lefisha Hagar, Hainasa Sarai Tchila. Hagar started, like Rashi says. So therefore, Sarah was ma'ana her, because if you look in the Smag writes, in the mitzvah of Loisainu, that if somebody insults you, you're allowed to insult them back. So even though the Ramban feels this was wrong of Sarah, to the point where until today we suffer from Sarah's mistake, the Riva says she was justified. By the way, Abar Benel disagrees with Ramban as well, and he says even though Sarah, the Ramban says Sarah did Vayeira, says Abar Benel, Ein Adavar Kain. It's not true. Because it's well known, la halacha, that if you want to correct somebody has a character flaw, you have to take them to the opposite extreme. And since Hagar was a Balas Gaiva, and she was looking down on Sarah as her mistress and as her instructor had to insult her back to put her in place. So it's a famous machlokes rishonim. Ramban says Sarah did the wrong thing. The Riva and the Barbanel says Sarah did the right thing. But everybody agrees that Hagar did the wrong thing for starting.
I think the chet of Sarah was not that she threw him out. You throw somebody out,
That's not what it says. It doesn't say throw it out. Tanel doesn't mean she threw it out.
I think that there was why we're suffering for Pera Adam is because she let him go into the desert.
No,
you throw somebody out.
That's not what it says.
I'm saying, I'm telling you, Pera Adam, the reason why we're suffering today, Pera Adam, I believe, is because she was allowed to throw. Told her, don't trouble, you're out, just malchus, whatever. But the point is that she didn't give a she shouldn't have been right.
So I just want to point out something. We learned this 2 weeks ago, and this is, listen carefully. The Chida brings down the story that we discussed in Parshas Noach. Chida says, a well-known story, he quotes it from the Sefer of Rav Yaakov Sakili, the Torah Samincha, that we know that Yishai at a certain point in time wanted to divorce his wife because he felt that he wasn't allowed to stay married to her, and he actually separated from his wife, and he had in mind he was going to live with his shifcha. The children would be avadim. He would free her, and then he would free them, and he would kasher them from being mayavim. What? How? Because they're not. You can't be a mayavi upon a shifcha. The children are not Jewish.
The children he had already. So how are they going to?
No, future children. Future children. Yeah.
David.
David didn't have it. So basically, what the shifcha was very loyal, and the shifcha told Yishai's wife. So Yishai's wife slipped in the room. He thought it was the shifcha. Few weeks later, Eshes Yishai is pregnant. He accuses her of being mezaneh, and they throw her out. They chase her out. And the child that's born, they treat like a mamzer. The child is David. Turns out David was not born from the shifcha. David was born from Yishai's wife. Says the Arizal, quoted by the Chida, this shifcha, who humbled herself before the wife of Yishai, was a Gilgal of Hagar. And Hagar did an Vayeira the first time. What was her Vayeira? She looked down on Sarah. She elevated herself, and she was arrogant, and she was not loyal to her mistress. So to be masakin the chet of Hagar, who was not loyal to Sarah, she came back again as the shivcha of the wife of Yishai, and this time she was loyal to Sarah, and she allowed Sarah to go into the room, and to be masakin the chet of mistreating Sarah, she fixed it by being loyal to Eshes Yishai.
Is Eshes Yishai the Gilgal of Sarah?
Doesn't say, maybe. I want to add the following. You ready? 1 second. The world is not ready to hear it yet.
We have a commercial. You need to get a more modern.
1 second. So, I want to say like this. There's another Vayeira that Hagar needs to be masakin. There's another major disaster that Hagar caused that she needs to correct. You know what that is? Forget about the fact that she mistreated Sarah. How about the fact that she brought Yishmael into the world? That she doesn't need to correct. How about the fact that she brought Am Hadoim Lechamar, the para Adam, into the world? I think she needs to correct that also. So, no! Listen. Hagar brought Yishmael into the world. So how is she going to correct that? So she comes back as the Gilgal of who? She comes back as the Shivcha of Yishai. And she says, how am I going to correct the fact that I brought Yishmael into the world? I'm going to make sure that Yishai's wife lives with him. Who's going to come into the world? The other Chamar. The Ani V'roichev al Chamar. In fact, we've mentioned many times, from the Vilna Gaon, in the commentary to the Safra D'Tzniusa, listen carefully. The Gemara writes in the commentary to the Safra D'Tzniusa, as well as, this is written in the Kav Yashar, that we have two Golosim. We have Golos Yishmael and Golos Edom. And Golos Edom, Esav is called the Shar. Mashiach ben Yosef is called the Shar. B'char Shoyrei Hadar Lai. Mashiach ben Yosef takes us out of Golos Edom. Shar from a Shar. Mashiach, Golos Esav is called Shar. Mashiach ben Yosef is called the Shar. But Golos Yishmael is the Chamar. Yishmael is the Am Hadoim Lechamar. Who's going to take us out of Golos Yishmael? David HaMelech. Ani v'reichav al Chamar. So Hagar has more business to take care of. It's not enough to rectify the fact that Hagar wasn't loyal to Sarah, so now she's going to be loyal to Yishai. She has major issues to take care of. She brought the Chamar into the world. She brought the Para Adam into the world. She's going to correct that. How? She's going to bring the antidote to Yishmael into the world. She's going to make sure that David HaMelech comes into the world. One last thing. The Gemara says that one day, the Tanaim were walking on the Har HaBayis, and they were crying because they saw the foxes on the Har HaBayis. What was Rabbi Akiva doing? The exact word. He's mitzachik. Rabbi Akiva is mitzachik. And they said, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "Why are you crying?" They said, "Why are we crying? This is the Har HaBayis. This is a place where a zar hakar yumas, and there are foxes on the Har HaBayis." And Rabbi Akiva says, "That's exactly why I'm laughing. That's why I'm mitzachik." So I said recently, but I never said it here on the Shiur, that the Chidah says, and I heard it from Rabbi Eitan Feiner. I called him up where the Chidah says it. He said he heard it 20 years ago from a Talmud of Rav Moshe Shapiro, and he never found it in the Svarim of the Chidah. He looked around a little bit. I looked around a lot. I didn't find it in the Svarim of the Chidah either. But if anybody knows out there where this Chidah is, where Rav Moshe Shapiro said, but the Chidah says like this. Chidah says, you know why Rabbi Akiva was happy when he saw the Shu'alim? The word Shu'alim are Oisiyos, Yishmael. Wow. And when you see Yishmael on the Har HaBayis, you know what the reaction of Rabbi Akiva is? It's a galechter. It's mitzachek. Yishmael is mitzachek. We're mitzachek when Yishmael is on the Har HaBayis. You know why? Because he's a chamor. He doesn't see the Har HaBayis. He doesn't see the Shekhinah on the Har HaBayis. He has no connection to the Har HaBayis. It's a joke. It means the biggest baseless claim in history is the claim of the Shu'alim to the Har HaBayis. They don't even see what's going on. They don't even understand this. What?
Missing an aleph.
He says we're missing an aleph.
Yishmael has an aleph, and Shu'alim does not.
Oh, like by Kayan, right? Now I know why you can't find this Chidah.
So they're mitzachek on this remez, but the Chidah says it. The Chidah says it somewhere. We're going to find it. Yishmael is Oisiyos Shu'alim, but the bottom line is that Yishmael has no connection to the Har HaBayis. It's nebulous, it's tenuous, it's not real. It's a mitzachek, it's a joke. It's a joke. When Avram said, "You see what's going on there?" He said, "I don't see anything." He didn't even see anything. Right. That means his claim is baseless. The Akedas Yitzchak is the triumph of Yitzchak over Yishmael. Yishmael says, "I had bris milah." Hashem says, "Bris milah is nothing." The Plishtim are also there. There are a bunch of Arelim. Kachna is bincha, yechidcha, asher ahav Yitzchak's the only ahavta over here. And after the Akeida, the Gemara says, V'yirash, zaracha, eis, shar, Oivav, the triumph over Yishmael. And that's why the Baal HaTurim says, the end of Sarah, the beginning of Toldos. The end of Sarah is Al Pnei Kolachav Echav Nafal. The beginning of Toldos is Vayeira Toldos Yitzchak. What's the connection? Says about Turim. When Yishmael falls, then finally will be the ascendancy of Vayeira Toldos Yitzchak, Mashiach ben David. At the fall of the Chamor, we will see the Ani Roichiv al Chamor Sheyavai b'mher v'yameinu.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.